Today, the Justice Department is announcing charges in 2 separate districts and in 2 separate criminal cases involving Glencore, one of the world's largest mining and commodity trading companies. The company has agreed to plead guilty in each case. In connection with the first plea, Glencore has agreed to pay approximately $700 million in penalties for its decade-long scheme to bribe foreign officials in 7 different countries.
As highlighted in the previous episode on the Airbus bribery scandal, it's no news that a lot of times a lot of companies have been found guilty for involving in various malpractices and schemes so as to dominate the market and make more profits. So this latest bribery and market price manipulation scandal involving the multinational mining and commodity trading giant, Glencore, is clear proof that these unethical business practices are far from ending now. Glencore has admitted to these wrongdoings across 7 countries in Africa, South America and the United States. They accepted to bribing foreign officials to secure contracts, they paid bribes to avoid government audits, Glencore even bribed judges to make lawsuits disappear. The company was also involved in market manipulation schemes in the commodities market. This manipulation scheme permitted Glencore to buy fuel oil at cheaper costs and sell at much higher prices. In all these misdeeds, the company illegally made millions of US dollars in profits which will later be uncovered and forfeited as part of the guilty plea settlement agreement reached with the US Department of Justice. In total, Glencore is to pay over $1.1 billion to settle this bribery and market manipulation probe. So, how did Glencore really carry out these acts of bribery and market manipulations? How were they caught? Who involved? And what is at stake for them? In this episode, we look at one of the biggest bribe scandals ever, and which is by far the biggest commodities market manipulation scheme settlement agreement ever reached in history. This is BTTV. The origin of the company dates back to when legendary commodity trader Mark Rich fled the United States to Switzerland after being indicted for trading Iranian oil during the 1979 hostage crisis and evading $50 million in taxes. While in Europe, he continued operating his company, Rich & Company, before selling it in 1994. Mark Rich was granted clemency by former US President Bill Clinton in 2001. Prior to this, Rich & Company was renamed Glencore International. Today, Glencore plc is an Anglo-Swiss multinational commodity trading and mining company, created through a merger of Glencore with Strutter in May 2013. Its headquarters is in Basel, Switzerland. Meanwhile, its oil and gas head office is in London, with its registered office in St. Helier, Jersey. In 2021, Glencore had a total revenue of more than $203 billion and a net income of over $4 billion. As Glencore International in 2010, it was regarded as the world's largest commodity trading company. As of the day of production of this episode, the company has been investigated for bribery and market manipulation schemes by the US and the UK governments and have pleaded guilty in both cases. Investigations span between 2012 and 2018.
The criminal charges filed against Glencore in the Southern District of New York are another step in making clear that no one, not even multinational corporations, is above the law.
On 24 May 2022, the U.S. Department of Justice reported a series of illicit practices that Glencore and its subsidiaries had committed between the years 2007 and 2018. These misdeeds involved the violation of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, FCPA. Prosecution hearings regarding this bribery case was undertaken at the Southern District of New York. For over a decade, Glencore had been acting through its employees and agents to pay millions of dollars of bribes to government officials through its intermediaries in at least 7 countries across Africa and South America, including Cameroon, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Venezuela, Brazil, As revealed by the US Department of Justice, the company gave these bribes in order to secure improper advantages to obtain and retain business with state-owned and state-controlled entities. It was also revealed that the traders of Glencore refer to bribes in code as newspaper, journals or pages. Glencore concealed these bribe payments by entering into sham consulting agreements, paying inflated invoices and using intermediaries to make the payments. They entered into multiple contracts with state-owned and state-controlled entities of these African and South American countries to purchase crude oil and refined petroleum, knowing that its intermediaries would offer bribe payment to state officials of these nations. In Nigeria, over $52 million was paid as bribe to officials. They also paid about $27.5 million to third parties, while intending for a portion of the payment to be used as bribes to DRC officials in order to secure improper business advantages. In Cameroon, Glencore paid around $11 million to the country's National Hydrocarbons Corporation and the National Refining Company. Meanwhile, in Brazil, Glencore caused about $147,000 to be used. This case is being investigated by the FBI. In all these, it was estimated that Glencore made a total illicit profit of more than $272 million. In the agreement reached between the US Department of Justice and Glencore, this profit has been forfeited and disgorged. On top of that, the company agreed to pay criminal fines of more than $428 million. And more fine was charged on the company for its commodity market manipulations. In an investigation that is being carried out by the U.S. Postal Inspection Service and with prosecution done at the District of Connecticut, it was revealed that as a way to manipulate the fuel oil commodity market, Glencore Limited, between around January 2011 and August 2019, through its employees and those of its subsidiaries like Chemoil Corporation, conspired to manipulate two daily benchmarks price assessments published by S&P Global Platts for two of America's busiest seaports. These were the Los Angeles 380 CST bunker fuel at the Port of Los Angeles and the RMG 380 fuel oil at the Port of Houston. The daily benchmarks of these ports were useful as they were used to determine the price terms of contracts. Glencore Limited submitted orders to buy and sell to Platts to create false forces of demand and supply. For example, employees of Glencore Limited would purposefully try to push down prices when they had a contract to buy fuel by submitting offers to Platts during the daily trading window for price assessment. This high supply now available would cause prices to fall and thus help the company buy at a lower price. The reverse was done when they had a contract to sell. This manipulation scheme greatly enriched Glencore Limited and its employees. The profits made here were estimated to more than $144 million, which was also forfeited and disgorged in a plea agreement reached between the company and the U.S. Department of Justice. And in addition to that, the company has accepted to pay a fine of over $341 million. In both cases, the plea is still to be approved in U.S. courts. On the 21st of June 2022, the Serious Fraud Office in the UK announced that Glencore and its subsidiaries had pleaded guilty at the Southwark Crown Court for 7 counts of international bribery of officials in 5 African countries, including South Sudan and Equatorial Guinea, to secure access to oil and generate illicit profits. The investigation uncovered bribes carried out between 2012 and 2016. The bribe payments were estimated to be over $28 million. Glencore will be sentenced on 2nd and 3rd November 2022. With investigations still currently underway in other countries like Switzerland, with sentencing still pending in the UK and the US, and with pressure groups now urging the SFO in the UK to investigate the company's top executives, we might see a situation where Glencore would exceed the $1.5 billion provision allocated for the settlement of these bribery and market manipulation schemes allegations, and with the hope that the Independent Compliance Monitor to be retained for 3 years by Glencore, as per agreement reached with the US Department of Justice, would make them a more ethical company. Glencore still remains a largely profitable company till date. Thank you for watching this episode of Business and Technology. We have another scandal episode which may be of interest to you. This one involves the aerospace corporation, Airbus. You may want to check it out on the end screen displaying on your screen right now. Or better still, you can check out our other business and technology related episodes through the playlist link found in the description section of this video. With that, we come to the end of this episode. See you around.